Hi everyone and welcome to Just Love. My name is Paula and I'm here with Judy. Hi Judy.
Hi Paula, hi everyone.
So in our last episode, Judy, you mentioned how the Middle East had been home territory to the Reptarian controllers for eons. You said that they were a strong force there during biblical times, but also way before, because that's where they settled after the Atlantean civilization was destroyed. You went on to say that this is why so much unrest has always gone on there. So firstly, can you talk to us about the destruction of the Atlantean civilization and how the controllers came to settle in the area as we know as the Middle East?
Okay, the Atlantean civilization was technically more advanced than where we are today. The reptoid Earth humans, the ones I call repterans from the Latin word terra meaning earth, were predominant and controlling, as they still are now.
So are they the exact same ones?
Yes. Plato referred to Atlantis in his writings as being in the Atlantic Ocean beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which is where the Mediterranean Sea meets the Atlantic, between Spain and North Africa. As is still the case now, their technology outweighed their spirituality, and it was technology gone wrong that caused their demise.
So you're saying that our technology outweighs our spirituality for the most part on planet Earth right now?
Unfortunately, yes, very much so. And back then, the Reptarians set something off interdimensionally and lost control of their experiment. As far as I understand, they may even have caused the Earth to drop down to 3D from a higher vibrational frequency.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yes, and those who survived this Holocaust headed eastwards to colonies that were part of Atlantis, or had been, in what is now the Middle East and Africa. It was the Reptarians in league with the Anunnaki, a Pleiadian reptoid culture that was related to the Reptarians of Earth, who bioengineered a slave race out of a primate species to work gold mines in Africa, where they'd also established themselves.
And this happened after the demise of Atlantis?
Yes, and this time period is more or less when the biblical Old Testament story begins. This is the reason why some fundamentalists believe that the Earth is only around 10,000 years old, if that much. They conveniently disregard everything that went on before biblical times.
So when you say it was the Reptarians in league with the Anunnaki, a Palladian reptoid culture that was related to the Reptarians of Earth, who bioengineered a slave race to work for them, how were they related? And were they already here on Earth, or did the Reptarians call for their assistance?
To tell you the truth, I'm not real clear on this. I do remember reading a story once by a Reptarian person that the Anunnaki came here while the Reptarians were here and looking upon themselves as the owners of the planet. I think there was a major disagreement between them as to who was in charge, but they ended up working and probably mating together. I know Sunny Sita refers to these Pleiadians as the Blondes, who worked alongside the Reptoids. I know they cause major problems for the ant people. I think this is why I've never felt real comfortable with the Nordic-type ETs that so many people look upon as being almost angelic. According to Sunny, a similar war happened on one of the planets in the Zeta Reticuli star system, which was attacked by the Blondes and Reptoids.
So now there are two reptoid groups on Earth. The original Reptarians and the Anunnaki, the Palladian reptoid culture.
Yes, and this is why the group who involved Japan in the Second World War were known as the Green Dragons and the Black Dragons, which were underground reptoid groups, whereas Hitler was inspired by the Thule Society, which had a connection with the negative blonde group, hence his Aryan ideal concept, and the ongoing white supremacist ideal that some on Earth hold on to.
So do they work as one, or are they in conflict with each other?
They work together to stir up war and continual conflict to keep Earth-plane humanity disempowered. The Blondes are the ones behind all the channel messages about the Greys being evil. The last thing they want is an off-planet group coming here trying to help humans get their power back. The divide and conquer agenda has been in full swing right from millennia ago, described in the Old Testament of the Bible, with so-called God sending various tribes of Israel out to fight and destroy each other.
So the point of divide and conquer is to keep humanity, both back then and now, subdued and dumbed down in fear as a way of lowering our level of intellect and spirituality.
Yes, for sure. It's all about keeping humanity fearful, disempowered and in enslavement. For example, such declarations as the first 3 commandments, which, as I recall from my convent school education, are deemed the most important, are all about control and empowerment of this God figure, and heaven help any poor little human slave who doesn't obey without question and give flattery and praise to this supreme being.
Judy, in your book Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, you refer to the 5 Genesis events of human life on our planet. Can you expand on that? Who or what were they?
Yes, this is an important part of the history of Earth which is not known by most people. The biblical Genesis story was much later and was the last in a line of similar events. Going right back to the very first human-type creatures to inhabit Earth, when the planet was mostly covered in water, was the mer or fish people. Earth was vibrating at a higher energy frequency back then. These were the semi-aquatic humanoid-type beings which are now only remembered in myths as mermaids.
So the mer people, the mermaids, definitely were on Earth once. Do they still exist in another realm or dimension?
Oh yes, for sure. This is why they've occasionally been seen. It wasn't always about a sailor having partaken of too much rum. If I remember rightly, I think there was 1 or 2 places in the Mediterranean where they were seen regularly. These would be places where the interdimensional veils are thinner.
Right.
As more land started to emerge and insectoid life developed, the next genesis was the ant people. These human-type beings were bioengineered by off-planet, insectoid-type creator beings such as the mantids, who came to assist the evolution of cultures on a planet that was suitable to sustain human life. The ant people work very closely with the nature spirits to establish suitable ecosystems on the planet, so they eventually became very advanced themselves in this area of creating diversity in plant and animal life forms and adapting them to environments. They were referred to as the gardeners of the earth.
And you have a very strong connection to the ant people.
Yes, I do. I can recall a life as one of them, lived here in Australia. They were an early grey culture which had its beginnings here on Earth. This is why some of the greys feel a deep connection and love towards this planet and care so much for the environment. Remember, as mentioned earlier, the ant people have been known as the gardeners of the earth. The Hopi people feel a connection with them, as it was the ant people who taught the early Hopi people how to make their homes in caves. I still feel a connection with underground caverns. To me, they feel like a place of safety and refuge. The next human culture to emerge was the reptoids, or reptarians as I call them. And what we need to bear in mind is the fact that our present-day human culture has only been around for about 60,000 years. Compare that to the dinosaurs, who reigned supreme on Earth for 165 million years.
So where did the reptarians come from originally?
The reptarian culture was developed on Earth by the off-planet Draconians, and with 165 million years here, along with open contact with their progenitors, they had way more time and opportunity to develop advanced technology than present-day humans.
Yeah.
They saw themselves as owners of the planet, but felt threatened by the also technically advanced ant people who'd been here before them.
So both the ant people and the reptarians were sharing the planet.
Yes, they were, and war broke out between the two cultures. The reptarians, helped by the Anunnaki, carried out an ethnic cleansing program on the ant people, basically removing their ability to procreate. The ant people were driven deep underground, but the reptarians continued to attack them, so in the end they were removed from the planet by higher evolved insectoids such as the mantids. They'd mastered space travel by then anyway, so getting them settled elsewhere was not a problem. They were first shifted to the Moon and then from there to the Zeta Reticuli star system as well as to other planets in the universe.
And then what happened?
The Reptarians and Anunnaki went on to bioengineer the Sasquatch people out of primate base stock to serve as slaves, but the ant people who'd escaped the planet, aided by the mantids, managed to get the Sasquatch into another dimension away from the Reptarians. I think this was around the time when Atlantis was destroyed. Another human race was later created, again out of the primates, to take over the slavery work. And again the off-planet people tried to intervene, placing the newly created Earth humans into a protected area, the Garden of Eden of the Bible, where more off-planet DNA could be inserted into their genetics, but the Reptarians interfered, caused them to drop back down the energy scale. This is the event referred to as the fall of man. A war broke out between the Reptarians and the off-planet people, but this time the off-planet people were driven away. It was hard for them to remain here for any length of time anyway, because Earth by now was vibrating at a lower 3D frequency, which is why so little evidence remains of earlier cultures. They continued to try to assist the new human race, but in a more covert way, hence the seeming polarity of the God figure in the Old Testament, which in some cases was the negative and controlling Reptarians and Anunnaki, and in other cases the more positive off-planet people who were trying to help the new humans. Modern-day humanity has evolved down the line from all these past human cultures of Earth, which is evidenced by certain characteristics still present in our makeup, such as the ancient reptilian part in our brain.
And so the control goes on playing out in the wars that we're witnessing to this day, and also in so many other ways.
It sure does.
So, Judy, what do you think of the Reptarians? They created us, modern-day humans, as their slaves, but because of the off-planet assistance and our upgraded DNA, are we too smart to be their slaves now?
Some certainly are, but unfortunately way too many Earth humans have not woken up. The Reptarians are extremely cunning in the way they subtly flatter Earth humans and play up to their egos through religious beliefs and misinterpretations. One major one is the concept of Earth humans being the only species in the universe to have been created in the image of God. The fact is, all sentient life in the universe is created in the image of God, in that we are all light bodies in our true energy form. But unfortunately, too many down here are so caught up in the limits of 3D consciousness that they take this literally to mean that God is in Earth human form. So any off-planet person who is not in this form must be a demon. They also continue to pander to people's egos through national, political and religious conflicts, hence all the wars still going on. All we can do is keep trying to get the message out there to try to wake people up. More and more light is coming in, but many are still totally unaware of this, so get drawn down and down into even more despair. This is the reason why so many are choosing to leave the planet. They're not ready yet to be woken up, so need to step away from the shift. For some, more time is required. Everything is moving along as it needs to. Humans cannot be pushed beyond what they're able to handle on the evolutionary level. Spiritual awakening is never an easy process.
So in other words, those of us who are down here trying to help need to just do our best, but not get too caught up emotionally. Compassionate non-attachment is the key. Being aware that death is not the end, but simply a most necessary portal to further evolution is vital. I think too, being aware of the fact that really Earth-plane humanity is a very young species, having only been around for 60,000 years, give or take a millennia or two, is also good to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Just remember, spiritual evolution is an eternal process of learning and experiencing. It takes a lot of time and patience from everyone involved. If people would like to read more about all of this, my books are available from Amazon, and they are Human by Day, Zeta by Night, followed by the Zeta Message, then Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, Lessons in History, and my two most recent books, both Kindle editions and both also available in German, An Interview with an Alien, Comments by an Undercover ET, and Cosmic Spirituality, Blending Religion and Science in Oneness from an Off-Planet Perspective.
Thank you so much, Jude, and thanks everyone for listening. Please share, like and subscribe. Sending you all much love, and bye for now.